Hello everyone, my name is Protesilaos, also known as Prot. In this video I want to talk to you about the file navigation basics of Emacs. I will provide you with an overview of what we can do with Emacs to find files and to navigate the file system efficiently. This means that I will talk to you about the minibuffer of Emacs, but also the built-in file manager of Emacs, also known as the directory editor. We will see the specifics in detail, but just for you to know in advance that I will be covering a lot of ground. So while this video is called the basics, it's not meant to only limit itself to the absolute essentials. It does more of the groundwork for you then to be able to build on top of that knowledge. It will not be exhaustive though, it will nevertheless be comprehensive. Let's get into the specifics right away, starting with the most basic and perhaps the most common command of the sort, which is Control-X, Control-F using the default key bindings, the find file command. Control-X, Control-F. You can see on my mode line over here, this pink area shows the key bindings that I am now typing. And next to it, you will see the name of the corresponding command. So Control-X, Control-F runs the command find file. This means that if you do mx to call the command by its name and then find dash file, you are doing the same thing as typing Control-X, Control-F. Just for you to know this for sure. And so if there is any doubt, you can always pause the video and take a look at what I am doing there. And still, if something is unclear, you can just contact me and I'm happy to help. Let's start. Control-X, Control-F. This is the find file command, the standard command to find the file in Emacs, to open a file in Emacs. What we can do here is we can type the file system path to where our file is stored. For example, I will type here git. Git is a directory, it is a folder, and this is denoted by the /. What happens now is that I have matched git, and now I only have one match in the minibuffer. If I type the /, what Emacs will do is it will enter the git directory and now produce a listing of its contents. So now you see I had 1, and once I input the /, now I have 9. You can see the number here, 9, and now I can use the arrow keys to select one among them, and this is the idea. The arrow keys are of course Control-N, Control-P, or whatever key bindings you have configured. When you are in this view, you can, instead of typing out the entire path, for example, instead of typing out the whole project's word, let's delete this, you can use your cursor to select what you are interested in, and once you have found it, with the highlight over it, you will hit the tab key. And you see what this happens, what this does, what has happened here. So let me do it again. I want to have, for example, the dot files. I want to expand the dot files into my minibuffer and to see the contents of the dot files. I go over it, I hit tab, and there it is. The same idea applies if you just type in a couple of characters, and this gives you a match, and then you hit tab, and you did it just like that, and tab, and there you have it. I am still on a directory right now because it ends with a /. And everything I see here that has a / as its final character is a directory. By contrast, everything that doesn't have a / is a file. With find file, we can actually find files and directories. So we can we can view both of those, but we will take it one step at a time. Let's start with files. I want to open my init.el over here. So I will just, with the highlight over it, I will just type the enter key, and here I am inside of my init.el, so I can start modifying this file right away. Now that I am here, I will use Emacs find file again, or Control-X, Control-F again. Notice now that the path to the file system starts from where I am, the directory from where I am. You see it over there, and the init.el is here, the current file I am in. This means that when you are somewhere on your file system and you do Control-X, Control-F, you immediately get a sense of where you are. You immediately get a sense of your location. What I can do here, of course, is I can go to another file in this directory. For example, I have my early init here, so let's do that. I am now opening my early init, just like that. Control-X, Control-F again. I can, of course, now go to a directory that is a subdirectory of where I currently am. For example, the proc Emacs modules, if I type enter here, it will go to that directory. Or if I want to go to the directory that I am currently at, I can focus the minibuffer prompt like this. You see, I am here and I go here. And if I do that, it will go from the file to the directory that contains the file, to the parent directory here. And this is exactly what I wanted to do now. Control-X, Control-F, the find file command can open files. It can also open directories. When it opens a file, it opens it in the appropriate major mode. Let's do it again. I will do it in another buffer, in another window. Let's keep those open. Control-X, Control-F to the window on my left. And now I will visit my early init. The file here has been opened in a major mode in an environment that is appropriate for editing files that are .el files. So Emacs has used the major mode that is for Emacs Lisp files. If I do Control-X, Control-F again, and go to the org file, for example, over here, this is a mode that is appropriate for org mode files. And again, it's the same idea. You can do here the modifications that you would do. Let's kill that buffer. We don't need to worry about it. And let's close this window as well. When you are doing Control-X, Control-F, let's kill this as well, actually. Control-X, Control-F, and you are going to a directory, not a file, to a directory. So it ends with a /. When you do that, Emacs will again do the same thing that it does with files, meaning that it will open it in the major mode that is appropriate for what you are now viewing. When this is a directory, the appropriate major mode is the directory editor of Emacs. In one word, dir ed, or if you want to pronounce it like other ordinary English words, dired. That would be the idea. Dir ed or dired, it doesn't really matter. By default, dired doesn't show icons, so I have enabled it for the purposes of the demo. I can show you, I will provide some configurations for you that you can copy, and I will include those in the link that will be posted on my website. If you are watching this on the video hosting platform, the link will be in the description, but below the video will be the configurations, some basics for you to get started. By default, the directory editor of Emacs will display a detailed file listing, such as the one I have over here, that shows you the file permissions, the owner, the size of the file, the last modification date, and then the file or directory. However, I personally don't like this view by default. I prefer this minimal view, which hides all the details, and this is done by toggling the dired hide mode command, by hide details mode command, by invoking that command. So we will get to dired in a second, but let's continue with Control X, Control F. Control X, Control F. I have in the minibuffer, in all the minibuffers, we have a history of prior searches. And so let's say I am here and I want to open a file that I visited a few steps back in my history. So what I can do is use the key meta and P. Meta is the alt key. Emacs calls it meta. So the alt, or on the Mac, it's the option key. So meta P will go to the previous item in the current minibuffer history. And the previous item happened to be the same as the one I am in. And if I type meta P again, it will go on cycling between my previous matches. And you see it goes further back. And I can do meta N to go forward and meta P to go back and forth. This is the idea. So meta N, meta P to go back and forth in your history. When you find what you are looking for, again, it's the same idea. You type enter and there you are. Note that minibuffer histories will depend on the command. Some commands implement their own minibuffer history. Others have a fallback to the generic, the default minibuffer history. So that is something for you to consider. When a command implements its own minibuffer history, meta N and meta P will only cycle the elements of that history. Otherwise, it will be the global history. But that is a technicality. You don't need to worry about it too much, but I am just mentioning it for you to bear in mind. Control X, Control F. Let's see what else we can do with this. We are here now, okay? And I want to go, let's say, I will type it. Let's type it here. It doesn't really matter. I want to go inside of local share fonts. Okay, I want to go inside of this directory. But currently I am far away. You see, I am deep inside another path. One way is, of course, to just go and delete everything backwards, do it like this, or maybe meta and delete, and that is a bit faster. But this still is cumbersome, and whatever is cumbersome is annoying. So let's do it another way. Control X, Control F. And this works by default with your Emacs. Even if you don't have the minibuffer configured the way I have right now. Instead of deleting the path and then typing in what you want, you can type in directly the full file system path that you want to go to. So I will type the tilde / and then .local share /share / fonts, enter. And you see, I just went there. What I did here is to benefit from the file name shadow mode that Emacs has. But maybe I can go very quickly and show you what I did. Let me disable this 1 second because this will make it a bit easier. Control X, Control F. You see, I am here and I will do it again. Tilde and /. This is the default that you will see. You will notice that the previous input is grayed out. So as I am typing, the previous path where I was is grayed out, and the current one is where I am heading towards. And this is the idea like this. But what I have configured in my setup of the minibuffer is to take that a step further. Instead of shadowing the path, just remove it altogether, Just let me enable this so that you see. Control X, Control F, and just like that, just clear it for me so that it is easier for me to focus on what I am typing and I don't have a million characters over there. This is the idea. Since I am on this file, let's take a small break from find file, and I want to strongly encourage you to install the Vertigo package, and enable it with Vertigo mode. And I also encourage you to try the Marginalia package and enable it with Marginalia mode like this. Let me show you what this does. So Vertigo will provide this vertical listing. Let's see what we have. No, actually, and Marginalia will provide the detailed view over here. So first, let me disable Marginalia. Okay, let's have it like this. Control X, Control F. You see that without Marginalia, we get this view. And now let me disable Vertigo over here. Control X, Control F. Now I get this view, and this one doesn't show me what I am matching. It is far less intuitive and much more difficult to find what you are looking for. So I suggest at the very least that you have Vertigo enabled. It is an excellent and exceptional package. Marginalia, I think it is also a very good package, but I wouldn't consider it essential given that this information is secondary to the interactivity of the minibuffer. But the vertical view of the minibuffer, I think, is essential. Okay, so let's get back to what we were doing. We were here and I was navigating the file system efficiently, where I don't have to delete everything backwards. I just type in the path and I go over there. Okay, so local share fonts and enter, and I am where I want to go. Let's see another very nice feature of the default Emacs minibuffer. You don't have to do anything to get this, but I will be sure to provide you with configurations just in case. Control X, Control F. Let's say that I still want to go to the fonts, local share fonts. I can type in the whole path, you know, .local/share/fonts, and go where I need to go. But this is still cumbersome. What if I could just type an abbreviation and Emacs would understand what I want to do? And this is exactly what Emacs provides for. So I will type the ~.l/s/f, and you see already what it is matching, right? F, and of course I could use here the same navigation that I always use. And for example, I did that, and now tab. Oh, I also typed the backtick. Tab, and you see what happened there. Let me do it now quickly. So I am here, okay? And I will do .ls_fo, and there it is, okay? And enter, and I go right away. This is a killer feature, I think, of Control X, Control F. It is very convenient to be able to just type in a few characters and go to a long path like that. Control X, Control F. Let's remember the meta P, right? Control X, Control F, and you can use this again, and always like this. So don't forget this. You don't have to just use one method or the other. You can mix and match and go about it however you want. But I just want to mention everything for you to know. So let me go from where I am now to my .files, which are in the Git directory, the projects, and then .files. And then I can even go inside of Emacs and then .emacs, and I can go here, just like that. Very nice and very simple. So now I am in the directory editor of Emacs, and as I said, this would be the default view, but I personally prefer this. So let me show you the configuration that you need for that. Let's remove these. So you want to have in the dired or dired mode hook, you want to have the dired hide details mode, just like this. What this means is that when we are entering dired, activate, call this. As soon as we enter dired, call this. So this is the same as you enter dired and you are in this, and then you do it manually, but you have Emacs do this automatically for you. So we are in this view over here, and I think this is the better view. Let us then discuss the directory editor of Emacs at length, because this is a very powerful file manager and we can do a lot with it. The basic stuff that you do with a file manager is, of course, to find the file that you are interested in and just type enter to open it. Remember what I said earlier, where Control X, Control F will default to the directory where you are at, and so you could type enter to go back to that directory. Another way of doing this is with the command dired jump, which is by default bound to Control X, Control J. Control X, Control J, it will jump from where you are to the parent directory, and this actually also works inside of a dired, where it will go from here, it will go to here, Control X, Control J, you see? But let's get back to what we are doing. So you can find the file, and with enter you open the file. If it's a directory and you type enter, you open the directory. When you are in a directory, sometimes you want to go to the parent directory. You want to go up in the file system. So from here, I want to go to here. Fine. I will do the caret sign. This is the default key binding. And now I am in this directory. Of course, when you are here, if you type Control X, Control F, you can also do it from the find file interface, and you can just delete what you need, or as I showed earlier, retype the path and just go where you want to go. So those two, you can use them interchangeably depending on where you want to go and how far it is from where you are. Just to know that both are fine, don't do one or the other. Another thing that you can do in dired is to open the file in the other window. Instead of opening it in one window, in where you are with enter, like this, you can open it in the other window with the letter O. This is the default key binding. Depending on the size of your font, Emacs will try to split the frame in a way that makes sense, but just let me make it small, the font. Normally, this is my font size. You don't need to be able to read this, but just to prove the point, if I type O, it will now split to the side, right? But if I am in this larger font and I type O, it will split below, so that is just something for you to bear in mind. Emacs will try to do the right thing so that the contents are readable and convenient to see. Opening in the other file has some advantages that we will see in a little bit, but one of the advantages is that you don't lose a sense of the context, because let's say you wanted to make a quick edit here, you come, you make the edit, you save the file, and now you will just close this window, Control X 0, and then resume what you were doing over there, the file management that you were doing over there. Furthermore, sometimes you want to take a sneak peek at this file with the defaults. There are ways to do a preview, but with the defaults, you can just type the letter O, take a sneak peek, and then you are back to whatever it is you were doing. This is the idea. The file manager, what we otherwise do with the file manager is to move stuff around and to rename files. Renaming and moving is actually conceptually the same thing, because the file exists in a given location. So when you are renaming it, you are actually changing its location. You are moving it from one location to the other. So move and rename are technically the same thing. Let's see this in practice. I have this file here, and for now I want to copy it. with the file at point, I will just, let's do the init.tel. I will just type capital C. And capital C is the command to rename either the file at point or the marked files, but we will get to that. So copy the file init.tel to, and now I have to provide a location. If I do, for example, testing init.tel, this will be the location. So init.tel will be copied into the same directory in a file called testing/init.el. I do that, and I see here that I have a copy of this file. When you want to delete a file, you can type capital D with the file at point. And this is telling me trash the file, yes or no. The option for trashing is not enabled by default, but I consider this something that is worth adding. Delete by moving to trash. So let's add this here. I think this is very useful to have. You don't want to permanently delete stuff because you can lose data by accident. Moving it to the system trash gives you a buffer there, and you can review it in case something goes wrong. But the idea is that capital C copies the file at point, capital D deletes the file at point. Let's first copy the file at point here, like we did before. Remember meta p, right? So I will do that again, and it gives me what I typed earlier. This is very useful. I don't have to retype it. I have testing init.tel, and now I want to rename it. Capital R is to rename the thing. I can just type a name here, and now it will rename the thing. I can call it renamed, like this, .el, for example. Type enter, and it has been renamed just like that. Or I can do rename, so I will type capital R, but I want to move it now. So I don't want to actually rename it. I want to still call it renamed.el, but I want to relocate it. Remember that relocating and renaming are technically the same thing because we are changing the location to where the file is stored at on the file system. I want then to put it in another directory, but otherwise retain the name renamed.el. So I will put it in the prot Emacs modules, just like this. And if I type the / and leave it at that, you see what my minibuffer has now? I have the modules there with the /. If I type enter now, the renamed.el will be moved from here into this path over here. Enter. And I did just that. Remember when I told you that we can type the letter O to open the thing in the other window? This is wonderful in this case because now I can see them side by side, and you see here I have all the files over there, and there is renamed.el, just like that. So now I will do renamed again. Let's come here. Renamed, I will rename it again. And this time now I want to move it back to the previous directory. I will just delete here until the previous / enter, and off it went. And let me use the caret sign to go back, and there it is. Okay, so that's good. Let's delete this, and let's see what else we can do with the directory editor of Emacs. Operating on one file at a time is kind of annoying because there are many cases where you want to be able to operate on multiple files at once. For example, I have those files over here that I can mark with the letter M, or if I make a mistake, I can unmark one by one with the letter U. Okay, and if I made an egregious mistake, I can unmark them all with capital U. Okay, so I will mark some files. And what this means is that I am telling Dyard that I have some files that you should operate on the next time I do a copy, rename, or delete. So now I will do a copy, capital C, and I will use the modules again, and I will just copy all this into the modules. I will keep it marked here so that you don't lose sense of context, and in the other window I will display the modules. You see, here they are. Very good. Let me just remove the marks here to avoid any confusion, and let me now mark them here. What you can do, if you know that you want to delete the files, is instead of marking them with the letter M, so let's unmark everything, you can mark them with the letter D. And this means to mark for deletion. And once you have marked them with the letter D, you can type the letter X to execute the deletion. And you will say yes or no to the trashing of those files. I said yes, and they disappeared. They went into the trash. Let's copy them again into the modules, and let's see this again. I will now use M, and I will type capital D. Capital D with M will again do the same thing as doing the D selection, but personally I do this more frequently. So I mark the files and I will do capital D instead of doing this and X, because it's I find it more convenient to mark. It's something that I do for all operations, whereas the mark for deletion flag is specific to deletions. There are, however, the advantages of visuals, where here you know that you are deleting, so you are more careful. That is something for you to consider. But I will do it like this now. Capital D, and it is telling me trash those 3 files. And here it is listing the files in a buffer called deletions. And I will say, yes, go ahead, and off they went. Let's make a copy now of some files here. I will make, oh no, actually I did that. Let's now, let's copy them. I want to copy them into the modules because I want to show you the next thing. Let's go to the modules. So I have these files copied here. One of the advantages of using Emacs is that we have lots of editing capabilities, and these editing capabilities also apply to the directory editor, where we can make the current buffer from a read-only buffer. You can see here it is read-only due to this sign that is over there. This is a slightly modified version of the default mode line, but so you may not see this depending on the mode line you are using. But anyhow, this is a read-only buffer. We can make it an editable, a modifiable buffer with Control-X, Control-Q. And you can see the command dred or dired toggle read-only. So now we have toggled the read-only mode off. And now this is just plain text here to rename this file, just what I typed over there. When you are done, you can type Control-C, Control-C, and now your file has been renamed, as simple as that. Let me now do this again. Control-X, Control-Q. So what I want to do in this case, just for demo purposes, I want to record the keyboard macro. I won't go into keyboard macros now, I will save them for another video, but basically it allows me to record my motions and play them back, so effectively apply the same motions, the same commands to however many calls of the keyboard macro I do. I will now start recording the macro. I want this macro to go to the beginning and then go forward a couple of characters and say, for example, hello over here, /. Then I want to search for the dot, and I want to go back a directory and say world. And for whatever reason, I want world to be capitalized like this. So then I will go down a line, the beginning, and close it there, and play it back a couple of times with F4. And so I have performed my operations just like this. Control-C, Control-C, and now I have renamed the files using this pattern. This is very powerful, of course, because now you can rename files very efficiently. However, this does not stop only at file names, because you can extend a keyboard macro to also work with file contents. I will just show you an absolute simple macro. So keyboard macro. So I am now recording the keyboard macro. What this will do with the file at point is it will open it in the other window, and let's say this is just what I want to do now. At the top it will say hello world, and then save the file, close the window, and go down a file and close the macro there. So if I play the macro back a couple of times and I go to inspect the files, what I did there, you see that they have the hello world. So just like that, I was able to perform an operation on the files using the directory editor of Emacs as my springboard, as the platform from where I commence these operations. Of course, in a real world scenario, you will have a more advanced keyboard macro, but the idea is exactly the same. Let's delete those files now. And I did it this way. So because there exists a buffer, it is asking me if I also want to delete the buffer. And I say, yes, go ahead and delete that as well. Let's go here now. And let's see what else we can do with the directory editor, because this is looking very promising. I want to copy those files into the TMP directory. The TMP is the temporary files in Linux, on the Linux operating system, where they will be deleted. Those files will be deleted when you close the computer. So I just want to move stuff there. So I will type /TMP. Remember what we said earlier about navigating using an absolute file system path. So if I do that, it will copy the files over there. But I don't want to type this out. I don't want to do it like this. I want to have two directories side by side and basically move stuff from one to the other. So I want to have a dual pane file manager, as it were. So I will go with Control-X, Control-F to the TMP over here, okay? And now, using the marks here, I will do capital C. And notice what happened here. I am copying those files, and now Emacs is smart enough to know that what I most likely want is to send them to the TMP. So the directory target for this copy operation is the TMP. So I will say Control G for now. I want to cancel. But let me show you 1 second. The target, do what I mean, is this DWIM. Yeah, this one is. So let me put this in the scratch buffer. This is also very, very useful for you to have, folks. Again, I will include this on my website. That will be linked to in the description of this video. Capital C now. Let's move it now. It's in the TMP. I will type enter, and there they go. Let's see them. We have all those things that, but there they are. You see, so I have those three over here. They have a capital C next to them, which helps me know that they were copied from another location. So this is the idea. Let me create now an empty file. If you do Control-X, Control-F, and you write a file that doesn't exist, like testing like this, .txt, for example, Emacs will create a buffer, and then if you save this file, it will write this buffer to the disk, so it will exist on your computer. And so let's say that what I want to do now is to move this thing with capital R, and again TMP is the default target because of that option I showed you earlier. Enter, and it moved the thing over there. Here, this doesn't have a capital R next to it because it has been removed from here, so that wouldn't be as helpful as the capital C. So don't worry about that anyway. Now that I am in the TMP, I can happily move to the next step and delete stuff in bulk. But let's see how we do it. Of course, I have all these things here and I don't really care about them. So I can go and just mark them like this and perform the deletion. But it is inconvenient. It is inconvenient to mark lots of things like this. What would be more convenient is for me to use some command that allows me to match files that have a given regular expression. And you can do this in Emacs with the default key bindings, % and the letter M. Mark files that match a given regular expression. Of course, you can type a regular expression here, and I won't go into regular expressions right now. I will talk about them in another video. You can type a regular expression here, of course, but you could just as well type just one word. For example, I want to mark everything that includes diary, for example, like that. And if I type enter, you see it marked everything that matches those search terms. Let me unmark everything. And now what I want to do is I will do it again and I will do Emacs and then forward the slash and enter. So now it marked everything that is like this. Same idea. And I could say, capital D, and then it would delete all of this. Actually, let's do it. So I deleted all the files just like that. So this was very convenient. I am very happy to be able to do that efficiently. Now notice that I have lots of other things here and I don't really care about them. Imagine that this is a big directory. Or actually I can go to one. Let me go to one. Let me go to where I have my videos. And these are videos that are on the video hosting platform, so they are public already. And what I want to do now is I want to mark some videos, but more specifically, I want to be able to focus on specific entries. I could go and say, I am interested in only those, for example, or I am interested in only those that are Emacs or whatever, okay? When you are in the directory editor of Emacs, you can temporarily hide items from view. So if you mark some items and type the letter K, it will remove them from the current listing. It does not delete them, it simply hides them. If you type G again to generate the buffer again, it will show those files here. So there they are. Let me do it with a lot of files so that you see the effect. I will type K and basically it removed them all. If I type G again, it brings everything back. So this does not delete anything. The letter K does not delete anything. Notice what I did earlier. I typed, or actually we will see. I marked some files and I typed the letter K and that simply removed them from the current listing. So I can combine what I already know with the letter K to hide what matches a given regular expression. For example, I want to mark everything that includes underscore philosophy. And by the way, the file naming scheme that you see here is the file naming scheme of my denote package. The denote package is used to write notes, but more generally, it is used to create consistent file paths like this one, file names. So underscore philosophy means files that include the keyword philosophy. So I will type enter, and this has marked all my files that include philosophy as a keyword. And now I will type the letter K to remove those. Let's continue. I want to now match something that has dash demo in it, okay? And I will type enter. It has marked all the demo files. But now I don't want to hide those from the view as I did earlier. Instead, I want to hide everything else from the view. What you can do when you have marked files in Dired is to toggle the mark, meaning to switch from what is now toggled to what is not toggled. And if you do it again, you see how this works, okay? So I started by marking what includes demo, and I want to toggle the mark to everything that does not include demo, okay? So I will type the letter K, and just like that, I was able to focus on all my files that include demo. And all my files that are not philosophy as well, because I also removed those earlier, right? And if I type G, I am back to the standard Dired view. Let me do this quickly. So I will mark and I will say demo, and then I will just add a wild card here, meaning match everything in between, and then the keyword Emacs, enter, toggle K. And just like that, you can hide the files in the directory listing of Emacs using the default capabilities of Emacs. Thus far, I haven't done anything that is not built in, okay? So this is very good. G, and we are fine with this. Let's go back to the TMP, okay? But just for you to know that you can toggle the mark just like that, and then you can operate on it however you want. Let's now take a look at the detailed listing for a second over here. And you will notice, maybe this is something that you don't know very well, but basically every file has permissions, meaning who can read, who can access this file. The permissions are in triplets. Maybe I can have somewhere where I write this. Let's see. So we have the read permission, the write permission, and the execute permission. Okay, so this is the triplet, execute. Okay, this is a triplet. And then we have, maybe I can have it here, we have the user, and then the group, and then others, everybody else, okay? So this triplet exists for the group and for the others. And this is abbreviated as RWX, and so RWX, RWX, just like this, okay? And there is a special permission at the start, but we don't need to know about that. So when we are reading this here, we see that my user, so me, has for this file read and write access, but not execute permissions. Others in my group, such as in the users generally on this computer, it's they only have read access, and everybody else the same idea. They have read access as well. When we are in Dired, we can modify those file permissions to whatever we want. The way to modify them will vary depending on what you are most comfortable with. For example, the key binding first is capital M. And then, for example, you want to do +X, which means to add to the existing permissions the execute permissions. +X, and you see what happened now. My user has read, write, execute, and everybody else has +X. They also have the execute permissions. Personally, I don't use the +X, +W, -R, or whatever. I don't use this. I prefer to use the numeric approach to doing this. So I will tell you very quickly, read, write, execute. We have read is the number 4, write is the number 2, and execute is the number 1. So adding those numbers will give you the permissions that you want. If I want this file, and so I forgot to say that you add those and they will make up to 7. and you have to add those 3 times so that you will have a 3-number presentation, meaning that you will have something like 777 for full permissions or 000 for no permissions. This is the idea, and let's see this now in practice. I am here and I want this file for my user to have read and write permissions, meaning 4 plus 2 is 6. And for the others, for everybody else, the group should have 0. And the others should also have 0. And let's see what happened here. You see, read, write, and then the rest are all empty. So nobody else can see this file, can write to this file, and it's except for me. This is the idea. And something that you will always, that you will see very frequently is, for example, if you are making something executable, is 7 and then 4. What is 744? It is read, write, execute, and then read for you, for the group, and read for everybody else. Just like that. You see the idea? And again, you can do -x if you want. That will also work. But I am just mentioning this for you to know. So this is something we can also do inside of the directory editor of Emacs. I have not covered everything, but I think this already shows you a lot of the capabilities of Dired, of what you can do with Emacs out of the box. There are many more commands, and I want to show you just a few of them. Not everything, but just a few of them. Let me go back to my dot files. And of course, I can do this just like this. And here I am. I said earlier that we can do Control-X, Control-F, and search for files like this. However, sometimes this is not convenient. I don't remember exactly where I have my files. I know, for example, that there exists somewhere in here a file that is about the mail synchronization software, the mbsync. Of course, I actually know where it is, but let's suppose that I don't know. And I want to do a directory-wide search from where I am and find that file. There is a built-in way of doing this, which is to treat the current directory as a project if it is a Git repository. And what you can do then is Emacs project find file. See the key binding over there, which is produced by Marginalia. Control X, P, and the letter F. Control X, P is the prefix for all project-related commands. This is the default key binding. Project find file. And now I find files in a fuzzy way without checking for the directory. So if I do something like mbsync, already it will match the mbsync that I want. If I do something like Latin, it will go inside the font config you see over here. If I do something like Dired, it will go inside of Emacs. You get the idea, okay? And otherwise, it behaves the same way over here. And you just do that and you open the file. No problem, no stress. Another way of doing this is with the consult package. And again, this is another package that I believe is wonderful, and I suggest that you install it. Install the consult package. And here also install Vertigo and install Marginalia. Let's have it like that. Okay, so you will install the consult package, which provides several commands to search for stuff. One of those commands is consult find. From where you are on the file system, you will do, or actually let me not be too deeply nested. From where you are, you will do mx consult-find. And now you will search for something. Let's say I will search for Dired. And consult will match this. But actually, let me be a bit outside. So I want to do it like this. console find, I want to do, for example, prot. And now I have 45 matches, okay? Console find, the way it works is that it uses the underlying executable, which is outside of Emacs, called find. This is a standard Unix program. On Linux, it is GNU find. On most operating systems, on most distributions of Linux. So it uses find, and it runs find in a non-synchronous, in a non-blocking way. The way consult does that is that inside of the hashes, you write the text that you want to send to find. So that thing will run non-blocking, okay? This is important if you are searching for thousands of files where you don't want Emacs to slow down. And then after the hashes, you use the Emacs minibuffer to filter what find found, okay? So I filtered that to prot, and then I will do, for example, the minibuffer of Emacs here, you see, and I match this, and I go there just like that. So this is very handy and something that you can use. Consult has lots of useful commands. I did a video, I think 1 week ago or thereabouts, where I talked about the basics of searching in Emacs, and towards the end of the video, I covered consult as well. I talked about some more of what you can do with it, because many of the consult commands are search-related commands. So I strongly encourage you to watch that video as well. Let me then close with what I have over here, which is to use the directory editor of Emacs to open files externally, because so far we have been using Emacs to open stuff inside of Emacs, but sometimes you want to open files externally because Emacs cannot open those files. Let me first go here and show you what I have. What we have here is we want to teach Dired how it can guess what a program should be used for a given file type, for a file that matches specifically a regular expression. So what I do here in the first string, I define a regular expression. And then in the subsequent strings, I define the programs that Dired should provide as suggestions for external programs that should try to open the given file. In this case, I have MPV or XDG open as the defaults for video files, okay, or for actually audio files as well. Let me show you how this works. I will go to my recordings, and now I will use my window manager over here. Let me make the gaps bigger just for you to get a sense of where I am. I am here on the left, and I want to open a file here, a program here, okay? So what I want to do now is I want to go wherever. I want to open, the last video I did about my hat project, it so happens. And what I want to do now is to leverage what I just taught Dired to do, which is to guess which program should run on this file externally. We can run a command for the given file, either with the exclamation mark, which means to run it in a synchronous way that blocks Emacs for the duration of this command. In this case, that doesn't make much sense. Or we can run it in a non-synchronous way with the ampersand, the et sign. Let me enlarge Emacs a little bit. So you will see that I have typed the et sign, the ampersand, and you will see that it is telling me you typed et on this file, and there are two guesses, and the default is MPV. Remember earlier meta n, that I talked about meta n. If you type meta n here, it will bring MPV, so the default, it will bring it into the minibuffer for you to edit in case you want to edit it. If you type meta n again, it will go to the next guess. And then meta p, you will go back. So let me now do, or just say this. and if you don't type anything, it will use the default, which is MPV in this case. So let me launch.
Hello
MPV.
everyone, my name is Protesilaos, also known as Prot. Just to provide you with another status up.
And sorry about that. Yeah, so I launched it and it started playing just like that, and then I wanted to close it. So as simple as that, it was the idea. So this is it for opening files, and the same idea applies for everything else. Note that xdg open is the Linux way of saying use the default program for the given file type, okay? But you can always specify a specific program. It's really up to you. What this means is, you know, for everything else, use xdg open. This is the idea. Last thing, the very last thing. Let me go, let me think if we have somewhere a file path. So let's see that, let's suppose now that you are somewhere and here you have written in the buffer, you have the file path. Okay, notice where I am here, Control X, Control F, I am on the home directory, okay? But when you are over a path in Emacs and you do Control X, Control F, meta N, and this will open, this will populate rather, the minibuffer with the file at point. And so you can do, if you want to visit this file right away, you can do Control X, Control F, meta N, enter, and you go there right away. Okay? Just for you to know. Finally, the very last thing that I did not mention because I personally do not use is that instead of find file, you can do Emacs dred or dired, and instead of opening files, this is limited to directories. Personally, I don't use this. I think it is better to have a one-stop shop, you know, find file, and if it's a directory, open it in dired. If it's a file, open it in the appropriate major mode for editing purposes. That's all for today, folks. Thank you very much for your attention. As I said, I will include some of these configurations on my website. I will clean it up a bit and include it on my website, and you can find the link to it in the description of this video if you are watching this video on the video hosting platform. Otherwise, if you are on my website already, they will be right below the video. Thank you very much for your attention. Take care. Goodbye.